The massive alien ship dropped out of hyperspace like a falling mountain. Its dark metal hull stretched for 20 kilometers, covered in strange symbols that glowed with cold blue light. The ship appeared above Earth without warning, blocking out the sun for millions of people below. Admiral Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the defense station New Seoul, watching his screens fill with red warning lights. His hands gripped the metal railing as he stared at the alien vessel. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything so large or threatening. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Lieutenant Park at the communications station. Her voice shook as she spoke. "The signal is coming through in perfect Korean, English, and every other language on Earth. Put it on the main." "Screen," Tae-ho ordered. The bridge fell silent as a massive alien appeared on their monitors. The creature stood 3 meters tall with dark green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to look right through the camera. Its voice was deep and cold as winter ice. "I am Veltar, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Dominion. Your species will now listen to your betters." The alien's words echoed through every radio, television, and communication device on Earth. "You have exactly 72 hours to surrender unconditionally to the Dominion. You will provide tribute in resources and population. You will accept your place as servants to your superiors." The screen filled with horrible images, burning cities on distant worlds. Millions of dead aliens lying in the ruins of their civilizations, entire planets reduced to ash and lifeless rock. "This is the fate of those who refuse to kneel," Veltar continued. "Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is worthless. Your resistance is impossible. Submit now, and some of your species may survive as slaves. Refuse, and we will erase every trace of humanity from existence." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in shocked silence. Captain Ji-woo burst through. The bridge doors, still wearing her flight suit from the patrol ship she had just landed. "Admiral, we're getting emergency signals from every defense station in the solar system. The alien ship is massive. Our scanners can barely get readings on it." Tae-ho nodded grimly. "Get me a direct line to President Hae-jin, and contact Fleet Commander Dong-hyun immediately." As Ji-woo worked at her console, Tae-ho stared at the alien ship on his screen. Most people would see an impossible enemy. They would see certain death. But Tae-ho saw something else. He saw the reason why humanity had spent 40 years preparing for this exact moment. His wrist communicator buzzed with an encrypted message. Only 3 people on Earth knew the code. The message was simple. "Project Black Fleet. Authorization requested." President Hae-jin appeared on the main communication screen. Behind her, Tae-ho could see the chaos in the Global Defense Center. People ran back and forth, carrying reports and shouting orders. "Admiral, what are our options?" the president asked. Her face was calm, but Tae-ho could see the fear in her eyes. "Madam President, I need to speak with you privately. There are things about our defense capabilities that require the highest security clearance." The president nodded. "Clear the channel. Admiral, you have my full attention." Tae-ho looked around his bridge. "Everyone except Captain Ji-woo, please leave the bridge immediately. This is classified beyond your clearance level." As the crew filed out, Ji-woo moved closer to the admiral. She had been his aide for 5 years, but she looked confused. "Sir, what's going on? What don't I know about our defenses?" "Captain, what I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about Earth's military," Tae-ho said, quietly. 40 years ago, we detected the first signs of this alien fleet approaching our solar system. We've been preparing ever since. President Hyejin leaned forward on the screen. "Admiral, are you saying we have secret weapons?" "More than that, Madam President. We have a secret fleet. 200 ships using technology the aliens have never seen. Ships that can appear and disappear like ghosts. Ships with weapons that can cut through any known armor." Jiwoo stared at him in shock. "That's impossible. I've seen every ship in the Earth Defense Force. We have maybe 50 vessels, and most of them are converted cargo haulers." "Those are the ships we wanted everyone to see," Taeho said. "The real fleet has been hidden in deep space for decades, waiting for this day." The Admiral activated a hidden panel on his command console. His fingers moved across controls that Jiwoo had never seen before. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, automated systems began to wake up. Quantum computers that had waited 40 years to activate started processing launch sequences. "The aliens think we're helpless," Taeho continued. "They see our primitive ships and assume we're easy prey. They have no idea what humanity is really capable of when we're fighting for survival." On the screen, President Hyejin looked stunned. "Admiral, how many people know about this secret fleet?" "Less than 100 people worldwide. Most of them are already dead. The project was so secret that each person only knew their small part of it. Only 5 people know the complete truth." Fleet Commander Dong Hyun's face appeared in a smaller window on the screen. His gray hair was perfectly neat despite the crisis, and his eyes showed no fear. "Admiral, I've been monitoring the alien transmission," Dong Hyun said. "Are we activating the protocols?" "Yes, Commander. Contact Captain Namgil. Tell him it's time for the Black Fleet to come home." Jiwoo felt like the world was spinning around her. "Captain Namgil? He died in a training accident 3 years ago. I was at his funeral." Taeho smiled for the first time since the alien ship had appeared. "Captain Namgil is very much alive. He's been commanding our secret fleet in the outer solar system. The funeral was necessary to maintain his cover." Across Earth, people stared up at the alien ship in terror. News broadcasts showed panic in the streets. Governments around the world called emergency meetings. Religious leaders prayed for salvation. Military commanders studied their pathetic weapons and knew they faced impossible odds. But in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, other people were moving with calm purpose. Engineers who had spent their entire careers working on mysterious projects finally understood what they had been building. Pilots who had trained on simulators for ships that didn't officially exist received activation orders. Weapons specialists who had developed technologies that broke every known law of physics prepared to see their work tested in battle. The alien ship sovereign's will hung in space like a promise of death. Its weapons could destroy entire cities with single shots. Its armor could withstand anything in Earth's known arsenal. Its crew had conquered 1,000 worlds and exterminated countless species. But Veltar and his warriors had made one critical mistake. They assumed that the ships they could see represented all of humanity's strength. They had no idea that the greatest predators were often the ones that remained hidden until the moment of attack. In the deepest parts of space, where even the most powerful telescopes saw only emptiness, shapes began to move. Ships that bent light around their hulls started to change course. Weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously powered up for the first time in decades. The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. They thought it was more than enough time for a primitive species to accept their fate. They were about to discover how very wrong they were. Admiral Taeho looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 71 hours and 36 minutes until the deadline. More than enough time to show the galaxy what happened when someone threatened Earth. The Black Fleet was coming. 40 years earlier, Dr. Sunja had been working the night shift at the Deep Space Observatory when her computer started screaming warnings. The young scientist rubbed her tired eyes and checked the readings again. Something massive was moving toward Earth from the direction of the Andromeda Galaxy. "This can't be right," she whispered to herself, running the calculations for the third time. The object was huge, bigger than anything nature could create, and it was slowing down as it approached the solar system. Dr. Sunja called her supervisor, then the observatory director, then the head of the space agency. Within 6 hours, every telescope on Earth was pointed at the same spot in space. Within 12 hours, the world's governments knew that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The alien fleet was still 39 years away, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. But long-range analysis showed ships designed for one purpose: conquest. The aliens had sent a massive force to claim the solar system, and they clearly didn't expect any resistance. President Kim, who led the Global Defense Council at that time, called an emergency meeting of the world's top scientists and military leaders. The meeting took place in a bunker deep beneath the Korean mountains, so secret that most governments didn't know it existed. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Kim said to the assembled group, "we face the greatest threat in human history. Our intelligence suggests this alien force has destroyed every civilization it has encountered. We have less than 4 decades to prepare for a war we cannot afford to lose." Dr. Sunja stood up from her seat at the conference table. "Mr. President, based on my analysis of their approach pattern and fleet composition, these aliens don't expect any meaningful resistance. They're coming here the same way humans might approach an anthill. They see us as insects." "Can we build defenses in 40 years?" asked Admiral Kyung-soo, the senior military officer present. "Not conventional defenses," said Dr. Mi-young, a young engineer who specialized in theoretical physics. "Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours, but there might be another way." Dr. Mi-young activated a holographic display showing strange artifacts that had been discovered in the asteroid belt 5 years earlier. The objects were clearly artificial, but made from materials that didn't exist on Earth. "These artifacts appear to be from an ancient civilization that fought the same aliens we're going to face," Dr. Mi-young explained. "My team has been studying them in secret. The technology is incredibly advanced, but we're starting to understand how it works." She manipulated the hologram to show the inside of one artifact. "They use something called zero-point energy. It's like tapping into the energy that exists in empty space itself. One of these power cores could run all of Earth's cities for a year." Admiral Kyung-soo leaned forward. "Could we use this technology to build weapons?" "Better than that, Dr. Mi-young said with excitement in her voice. "We could build ships that make anything in our current fleet look like wooden boats. Ships that could actually fight these aliens and win." President Kim looked around the table at the shocked faces. "How long would it take?" 40 years, Dr. Mi-young said. "Maybe 35 if we put every resource on Earth into the project. But it would have to be completely secret. If the aliens detect any advanced technology before they arrive, they might send a larger force. Or they might just destroy Earth from a distance," Dr. Sunja added grimly. The decision was made that night. Project Black Fleet would consume 15% of Earth's total resources for 4 decades. The best scientists and engineers would work in hidden facilities around the solar system. Advanced manufacturing would be disguised as mining operations in the asteroid belt. Young Lieutenant Tae-ho was assigned as military liaison to the project. He watched in amazement as the first prototype ships took shape in secret shipyards built inside hollowed-out asteroids. The vessels looked nothing like human ships. They were sleek and predatory, with hulls that seemed to absorb light. "The armor is the key," Dr. Mi-young explained to him during one of his inspection tours. "It exists partially in normal space, and partially in quantum dimensions. Energy weapons and projectiles pass right through it most of the time." "Most of the time?" Tae-ho asked. "The pilots can control the phase state, solid when they want to ram something, ghostly when they want to avoid incoming fire. It takes incredible skill to use effectively." The first test pilots were volunteers, who knew they might not survive the experimental flights. Captain Nam-gil was one of them, a young pilot with perfect reflexes and absolutely no fear. He took the prototype ship Phantom on its first combat test against a robotic target ship. "Control, this is incredible," Nam-gil's voice came through the radio as his ship flickered in and out of visibility. "I can phase through the target's shields and appear inside their defense perimeter. They can't touch me." The target ship exploded as Nam-gil's quantum torpedoes materialized inside its hull. The weapons existed in multiple dimensions at once, making them impossible to intercept or defend against. Dr. Bin Wu, a quantum physicist working on the project, developed the targeting systems that could track enemies across dimensional boundaries. "We're not just building better ships," he told his team. "We're building ships that fight by completely different rules." As the years passed, the Black Fleet grew in secret. 200 ships of various sizes, each one incorporating technology that pushed the boundaries of known physics. The crews, trained constantly, learning to fight in ways no human had ever fought before. Captain Subin commanded the stealth carrier Silent Thunder, which could launch fighter squadrons that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Commander Inho led the heavy destroyers that could punch holes through planet-sized targets. Captain Nam-gil rose through the ranks to command the flagship Shadow of Earth. The project's security was perfect. The official Earth Defense Force continued to operate with primitive ships, creating the illusion that humanity was helpless. Meanwhile, the real fleet waited in the darkness between the planets. Lieutenant Wu Jin, working in intelligence, managed to infiltrate alien communication networks as the hostile fleet approached the solar system. The intercepted messages confirmed humanity's worst fears. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Dominion, and they had destroyed over 1,000 civilizations. "They don't negotiate," Wu Jin reported to Admiral Kyung-soo, who was now elderly but still overseeing the project. "They don't take prisoners. They don't leave survivors. Every species that has ever encountered them is now extinct. Except for the ones who built these artifacts," Dr. Mi-young pointed out. She was graying now, having spent her entire career on the Black Fleet project. "They found a way to fight back, and now so do we." As the alien fleet entered the outer solar system, final preparations began. The Black Fleet moved to staging positions in the asteroid belt and beyond Neptune's orbit. Each ship was equipped with quantum communication systems that couldn't be detected or jammed. Admiral Tae-ho, now the project's military commander, reviewed the battle plans one final time. The strategy was simple and brutal. Let the aliens think they had achieved easy victory, then reveal the Black Fleet and destroy them completely. "We only get one chance," he told his captains during the final briefing. "If we fail, there won't be anyone left to mount a second attack. Every ship, every weapon, every life depends on perfect execution." The waiting was the hardest part. For months, the Black Fleet crews watched as the alien force approached Earth. Long-range sensors showed over 800 ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything in Earth's known arsenal. But the aliens had no idea what was waiting for them in the shadows. They had conquered the galaxy by being stronger and more advanced than every enemy they faced. They had never encountered an enemy that fought from hiding, using weapons that operated outside the normal rules of space and time. The Dominion fleet prepared to receive another easy surrender from a primitive species. They had done it 1,000 times before. They saw no reason why Earth should be any different. They were about to learn that humans were very different indeed. As the 72-hour ultimatum began, Captain Namgil sat in the command chair of Shadow of Earth, watching the alien fleet position itself around humanity's home world. His ship and all the others remained completely invisible, waiting for the signal that would change galactic history. The aliens thought they were hunting helpless prey. They were about to discover they had walked into a trap set by the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. 48 hours remained on the alien ultimatum when President Hai Jin walked into the Global Broadcasting Center. Her face showed the perfect mixture of fear and resignation that the watching aliens expected to see. Behind her, the entire planet appeared to be preparing for surrender. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice carried to every corner of the world and directly to the alien ships above. "After consulting with world leaders and military commanders, we have reached a difficult decision. Humanity cannot stand against the superior technology of the Galactic Dominion." In the alien flagship Sovereign's Will, Supreme Commander Veltar watched the broadcast with satisfaction. Another primitive species accepting their fate. The speech continued exactly as he expected. "We formally request a peaceful transition period," President Hyojin continued. "We need time to organize our surrender properly. Time to prepare accurate inventories of our resources and population. Time to ensure our compliance with Dominion requirements." What the aliens didn't know was that every word of the speech had been carefully planned. Dr. Binwu, working from a hidden facility beneath the Himalayan mountains, was using the broadcast to send coded targeting data to the Black Fleet. Each pause, each emphasis, each seemingly random gesture was actually providing precise coordinates for every alien ship. Captain Jiwoo played her role perfectly, leading very public evacuation efforts across Earth's major cities. News cameras followed her as she organized refugee convoys and established emergency shelters. To watching aliens, she appeared to be a defeated military officer trying to save civilian lives, but her real mission was far different. Hidden among the legitimate evacuees were thousands of resistance fighters moving into positions around critical infrastructure. When the time came, they would ensure that Earth's most important facilities remained operational even if the aliens tried to destroy them. "This is humiliating," muttered one of Jiwoo's junior officers as they supervised another convoy of frightened civilians. "No," Jiwoo replied quietly. "This is strategy. The aliens see weakness where they should see preparation. They see fear where they should see fury. They've made the mistake of assuming humans are just like every other species they've conquered." In the asteroid belt, Captain Namgil watched his tactical display as the alien fleet repositioned itself around Earth. The enemy ships were spreading out, preparing for what they clearly thought would be an easy occupation. "Perfect. Signal from command," reported his communications officer. "Admiral Tejo confirms all Black Fleet units are in position. Weapons are charged and ready." Namgil nodded, his eyes never leaving the alien formations. Maintain stealth protocols. Let them think they're in complete control. The Black Fleet had spent 3 days moving into attack positions while remaining completely invisible. 200 ships surrounded the alien force, each one using quantum phase technology to remain undetectable. The aliens' sensors showed empty, space where death waited in the shadows. Commander Subin floated in the launch bay of her stealth carrier Silent Thunder, performing final checks on her fighter squadron. Each small ship was equipped with phase shift drives and quantum weapons that could materialize inside enemy hulls. "Remember," she told her pilots, "we appear, we strike, we vanish. The aliens won't even understand what's happening until it's too late. Stay disciplined, follow your flight plans, and trust your training." Her pilots were the best humanity had ever produced. They had trained for decades on simulators that perfectly replicated alien ship designs. They knew exactly where to hit, each target for maximum damage. On Earth, Dr. Soonja sat in her laboratory, analyzing every scrap of data the planet's sensors could gather about the alien fleet. Her xenobiological research had revealed crucial weaknesses in Dominion technology and crew behavior. "Their shields operate on rotating frequencies," she explained to Admiral Tejo during a secure communication. "But the rotation pattern is predictable. Our quantum weapons can synchronize with the frequency gaps." "What about their crew?" Tejo asked. "Overconfident. They've won so many easy victories that they've forgotten how to fight a real war. Their commanders make decisions based on fear rather than tactical analysis. When we hit them, they'll panic." Lieutenant Wu Jin, still maintaining his deep cover in the alien communication network, sent regular updates to Earth Command. The intelligence he provided was devastating to Dominion security. "They're planning to begin bombardment in 6 hours, his encrypted message reported. "Veltar wants to make an example of Earth's major cities before accepting the surrender. They intend to kill half the population regardless of our compliance." The message confirmed what everyone had suspected. The aliens had never planned to honor any surrender agreement. They would take what they wanted and destroy the rest, just as they had done to 1,000 other worlds. But this time would be different. Commander Inho reviewed the specifications of his heavy destroyer Iron Will. One final time. The ship's main weapon was a quantum disruptor that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. His target was the alien flagship's main power core. "One shot," he murmured to his weapons officer. "That's all we'll get before they realize what's happening. Make it count." Around Earth, the Dominion fleet moved into bombardment positions. 800 ships against one defenseless planet. The aliens had done this so many times that it had become routine. Admiral Veltar stood on his command bridge, admiring the blue-green world below. Soon it would be another smoking ruin, another monument to Dominion power. The humans had surprised him by surrendering so quickly, but it saved time. "Begin bombardment of primary population centers," he ordered his weapons officers. "Destroy, enough to demonstrate our power, but leave the infrastructure intact. Dead slaves are useless slaves." The first energy beams began charging in the alien weapon arrays. Enough firepower to vaporize entire cities prepared to rain down on an apparently helpless world. But in the darkness between the ships, 200 predators waited for their moment. Captain Namgil received the final authorization code from Admiral Tejo. The message was simple. Execute Black Fleet Protocol 7. Show them what humans do to bullies. Across the hidden fleet, quantum engines powered up to full capacity. Phase shift generators prepared to bring the ships back into normal space. Weapons that had waited 40 years for this moment achieved full charge. The aliens had made their last mistake. They had threatened Earth, and now they would learn why humanity had never been conquered by anyone or anything in their long history. All units, Namgil transmitted on the secure quantum channel. Prepare for immediate decloak. Remember, we are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting for every species these aliens have destroyed. We are fighting for the future of the galaxy itself. The countdown reached 0. 200 ships shimmered into existence around the alien fleet like phantoms materializing from nightmares. For a brief moment, space was filled with the most beautiful and terrifying sight in galactic history, humanity's secret weapon revealing itself at last. The Battle of Earth was about to begin, and the aliens were about to discover that they had picked a fight with the wrong species. Supreme Commander Veltar stared at his tactical display in shocked disbelief as human ships appeared from nowhere, surrounding his entire fleet. His sensors had detected nothing. His intelligence had reported that Earth possessed no advanced technology. But the evidence was right in front of him. Sleek, black ships with weapons unlike anything in Dominion databases. Ships that seemed to bend space around themselves. Ships that radiated a predatory menace that made his scales crawl with instinctive fear. For the first time in his long military career, Veltar realized he might have made a terrible mistake. The first alien energy beam lanced down toward the city of New Tokyo, designed to vaporize 3 million humans in a demonstration of Dominion power. The beam traveled at light speed and should have been impossible to intercept. Should have been. The energy stream struck something invisible halfway to Earth and exploded in a brilliant flash of disrupted particles. More beams fired from other alien ships, all meeting the same fate. Quantum interference fields, projected by the Black Fleet, turned the most powerful weapons in the galaxy into harmless light shows. Supreme Commander Veltar stared at his tactical display in growing horror. What is happening? Why are our weapons failing? His sensor officer's voice cracked with fear. Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures appearing all around us. Ships, sir. Hundreds of human ships. Impossible, Veltar snarled. Our intelligence confirmed that Earth has no advanced technology. Their most powerful ships are primitive chemical rockets. As if responding to his disbelief, space around the Dominion fleet shimmered like heat waves. 200 black ships materialized from nothingness, their hulls gleaming like polished obsidian in the starlight. The human vessels were sleek and predatory, designed by minds that understood war in ways the Dominion had forgotten. Captain Namgil sat in the command chair of the Shadow of Earth, watching the alien fleet's panicked attempts to understand what they were seeing. 40 years of preparation had led to this moment. All Black Fleet units, he transmitted on the quantum communication channel, you are free to engage. Show them what happens when someone threatens our home. The human ships moved with impossible grace, phasing in and out of normal spacetime as they closed the distance to their targets. Quantum phase drives allowed them to appear solid when ramming through enemy shields and become ghostly when avoiding return fire. Commander Subin's fighter squadrons launched from the stealth carrier Silent Thunder, their small ships flickering, like deadly fireflies as they phase-shifted through the alien fleet. Her pilots had trained for this moment their entire careers, and they flew with the precision of artists and the fury of avenging angels. Dragon Squadron, target the command. Ships, Subin ordered as her fighter screamed through the void at impossible speeds. Phoenix Squadron, take out their weapons platforms. Remember, we phase through their hulls and deliver antimatter charges to critical systems. The first Dominion ship to die was a heavy cruiser that never even detected the human fighter materializing. Inside its engineering section, the antimatter charge detonated exactly where it would cause maximum damage, and the cruiser's power core overloaded in a chain reaction that consumed the entire ship. Admiral Veltar watched in stunned disbelief as his ships began exploding around him. "How are they doing this? Our shields should stop any weapon." "Sir," his tactical officer reported, his voice shaking, "their weapons are appearing inside our ships. They're bypassing our shields completely." Commander Inho's heavy destroyer, Iron Will, demonstrated humanity's most terrifying innovation. Quantum torpedoes launched from his ship existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making them impossible to intercept or defend against. The weapons materialized inside enemy hulls with the force of miniature stars. "Target the flagships." "Power core," Inho ordered his weapons officer. "Let's show their commander what real firepower looks like." The quantum torpedo phased through the Sovereign's Will's shields, armor, and hull as if they didn't exist. It materialized in the ship's main reactor chamber and detonated with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The massive alien flagship lurched as its primary power grid failed. Emergency lighting flickered on throughout Veltar's command bridge. "Damage report!" he roared. "Main power offline. Backup systems failing." "Hull breaches on 17 decks," came the panicked response from his engineering crew. Around the crippled flagship, the rest of the Dominion fleet was dying with terrifying efficiency. The human ships fought like nothing Veltar had ever encountered. They appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and vanished before his gunners could return fire. Captain Namgil's Shadow of Earth demonstrated the quantum phase technology that made the Black Fleet nearly invincible. The ship became solid long enough to ram through a Dominion destroyer's shields, then turned ghostly as the enemy's weapons fired harmlessly through its hull. "Direct hit on their command center," reported Namgil's weapons officer as quantum disruptors tore the destroyer apart from the inside. "Good. Target the next ship in line. Keep moving, keep firing. Don't give them time to adapt." But adaptation was impossible. The aliens were fighting an enemy that used completely different rules of warfare. Their weapons couldn't hit ships that existed partially outside normal space. Their shields couldn't stop attacks that came from other dimensions. Their tactics were useless against an enemy that could appear anywhere at any time. Dr. Binwoo's targeting systems guided the Black Fleet's weapons with perfect accuracy. 40 years of preparation had mapped every weakness in Dominion technology. The quantum computers calculated optimal strike points faster than any alien defense system could respond. A Dominion battlecruiser fired its main weapons at Captain Subin's fighter squadron, only to watch the energy beams pass harmlessly through ships that had shifted into quantum phase. The fighters rematerialized inside the cruiser's hangar bay and released antimatter charges that gutted the ship from within. "This is impossible," Veltar whispered as he watched his fleet disintegrate around him. In 30 minutes of combat, over 200 Dominion ships had been destroyed or disabled. The humans had lost nothing. Lieutenant Wu Jin, monitoring alien communications from his hidden post, reported the growing panic in the Dominion fleet. "Their commanders are requesting immediate reinforcements. They're sending distress signals to their homeworlds." "Too late," Admiral Tejo replied from his command center on New Sol Station. "By the time their reinforcements arrive, there won't be anyone left to rescue." The battle reached its climax as the last functional Dominion ships tried to form a defensive formation around their crippled flagship. It was a futile gesture. The Black Fleet surrounded them completely, striking from every direction at once. Commander Inho's Iron Will led the final assault. its quantum weapons tearing through. The remaining alien ships like tissue paper. "For every world you destroyed," he transmitted to the dying aliens. "For every species you exterminated, for every innocent life you took. This is humanity's answer." When the quantum fire finally stopped, 800 of the galaxy's most advanced warships had been reduced to drifting debris. The battle had lasted exactly 18 minutes. The Dominion fleet that had conquered 1,000 worlds had been completely annihilated by an enemy they had considered primitive. Only the flagship Sovereign's will remained intact, its life support failing and its weapons offline. Veltar sat in his darkened command bridge, surrounded by the bodies of his crew and the wreckage of his dreams of conquest. Captain Namgil's voice came through the alien ship's communication system, speaking in perfect Dominion standard language. "Supreme Commander Veltar, this is Captain Namgil of the human vessel Shadow of Earth. Your fleet is destroyed. Your invasion has failed. You have exactly one chance to survive this encounter." Veltar found his voice despite his shock. "What do you want, human?" "You will return to your masters with a message. Tell them that Earth does not kneel. Tell them that humanity protects the innocent and destroys the guilty. Tell them that if the Dominion ever threatens this world again, we will not stop with one fleet. We will come for their home worlds. We will come for their entire civilization." "You don't understand," Veltar said desperately. "The Dominion has thousands of ships, millions of warriors. You may have won today, but you cannot stand against our full might." Namgil's reply was cold as space itself. "Commander, you just lost 800 ships to a force you never saw coming. You had every advantage, and you still lost completely. How confident are you that your remaining ships will perform any better?" As if to emphasize the point, the Black Fleet maintained perfect formation around the crippled flagship, their weapons still charged and ready. 200 ships that had just demonstrated they could destroy anything the Dominion could build. "You have 1 hour to restore minimal life support and begin your journey home," Namgil continued. "Use that time to compose your report carefully. The galaxy needs to know that there are still those who fight back against tyranny." As Veltar worked frantically to repair his ship's basic systems, he realized that everything had changed. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had spread across the galaxy, unopposed, crushing every species that dared to resist. But humanity was different. They had hidden their true strength until the perfect moment. They had struck with overwhelming force and perfect tactics. Most importantly, they had shown mercy to a defeated enemy, something the Dominion never did. The crippled flagship limped away from Earth's solar system, carrying news that would shake the foundation of the galactic order. The Dominion was no longer invincible. Somewhere in the galaxy there was a species that could fight back and win, and they were coming. The news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the Dominion's hyperspace communication network, reports flashed between star systems like wildfire. An entire fleet destroyed. 800 ships reduced to scrap metal. The invincible Dominion had suffered its first major defeat in 10,000 years. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, the fish-like Centauri people received the transmission in their underwater cities. For 3 centuries, they had paid tribute to the Dominion, watching their young taken as slaves and their resources stripped away. Now they dared to hope that freedom might be possible. In the crystal caves of Mineralon, the rock-based silicate, civilization processed the information through their slow but deep thoughts. They had seen 1,000 species rise and fall under Dominion rule. But this was different. This time, the conquered had struck back. Admiral Tae-ho stood in the command center of New Seoul Station, watching reports flow in from across human space. Earth's victory was complete, but he knew the real war was just beginning. "The Dominion will send everything they have," he told the assembled commanders. "This defeat will force them to show their true strength. We need to be ready." Captain Namgil's image appeared on the main communication screen. Behind him, the bridge of Shadow of Earth showed the controlled chaos of a fleet preparing for deep space operations. "Admiral, the Black Fleet is fully operational and ready for extended deployment. What are your orders?" Tae-ho looked at the tactical display showing Dominion space. Hundreds of star systems, thousands of ships, millions of worlds under alien control. The enemy would mass their forces and strike back with everything they possessed. "Captain, we're not going to wait for them to come to us. Take the Black Fleet into Dominion territory. Find their ships and destroy them before they can mount a counterattack against Earth." The strategy was brutal in its simplicity. Hunt down every Dominion warship and eliminate them one by one. Prevent the aliens from gathering their forces for a massive assault on humanity's home world. "Sir," Captain Ji-woo said from her position at the tactical station, "that's incredibly dangerous. We'll be operating deep in enemy territory without support or supply lines." "The Black Fleet was designed for exactly this kind of mission," Tae-ho replied. "Our ships can remain undetected for months. Our weapons can defeat anything the Dominion has. Most importantly, we have something they've never faced before, the element of surprise." Dr. Mi-young's teams worked frantically to modify Black Fleet. Ships with captured Dominion navigation data. The alien flagship had provided a treasure trove of intelligence about hyperspace routes, military bases, and fleet dispositions. "Their command structure is incredibly centralized," Dr. Bin-woo reported, as he analyzed the data. "Every major decision has to be approved by the High Council on Dominion Prime. If we can disrupt their communications, we can paralyze their entire military." Captain Soo-bin volunteered for the most dangerous missions, leading reconnaissance flights deep into alien territory. Her stealth fighters could slip past enemy sensors and gather intelligence on Dominion fleet movements. "I've located a major staging area at Kepler Prime," she reported after returning from a week-long scouting mission. "They're massing ships from across 3 sectors. Looks like they're planning a counterattack." "How many ships?" Namgil asked. 200 and counting. Heavy cruisers, battle carriers, and at least 6 dreadnoughts. They're pulling vessels from all over their territory. Namgil studied the tactical data on his screen. 200 Dominion ships against his force of 200 Black Fleet vessels. On paper, it looked like an even fight. But he knew better. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "We're going to hit them before they finish assembling. Same tactics as Earth. Appear without warning, strike hard, disappear before they can respond." The Battle of Kepler Prime became the first test of human tactics against a prepared Dominion force. The aliens had learned from their defeat at Earth and positioned their ships in defensive formations with overlapping fields of fire. It didn't matter. Commander In-ho's heavy destroyers phased through the alien defensive perimeter as if it didn't exist. His quantum torpedoes materialized inside enemy command centers with devastating precision. Within minutes, the Dominion formation was leaderless and confused. Captain Soo-bin's fighters swarmed through the alien fleet like deadly insects, their antimatter charges detonating in critical systems. The aliens' advanced weapons were useless against targets that could become intangible at will. "Their shields are completely ineffective," Soo-bin reported as her squadron tore through a Dominion battle carrier. "They still don't understand how Our phase technology works. The battle lasted 37 minutes. When it ended, 200 Dominion ships had been destroyed or disabled. The Black Fleet suffered minor damage to 3 vessels and no casualties. Admiral Kivek, the Dominion commander at Kepler Prime, sent a desperate message to his superiors before his flagship exploded. They fight like demons from the void itself. Our weapons cannot touch them. Our shields cannot stop them. Send everything we have or the Dominion is doomed. But everything was exactly what the humans were hunting. Over the following months, the Black Fleet struck at Dominion forces across a dozen star systems. Each battle followed the same pattern. Human ships appeared without warning, destroyed everything in sight, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Captain Namgil became a legend among both human crews and alien survivors. His tactical brilliance and ruthless efficiency earned him the nickname Shadow Death in Dominion military reports. They cannot fight what they cannot see, he explained to his officers during a strategy meeting. Our phase technology gives us absolute tactical superiority. We choose when and where to fight. We choose when to appear and when to disappear. The enemy can only react to what we do. The psychological impact on Dominion forces was devastating. Ship captains reported to their superiors that human vessels seemed to appear from nowhere, strike with impossible weapons, and vanish like ghosts. Morale plummeted as alien crews realized they were fighting an enemy they couldn't understand or defeat. Lieutenant Wu Jin, still maintaining his cover deep in the Dominion communication network, reported growing panic among alien military commanders. They're pulling ships from frontier sectors to defend their core worlds, he transmitted to Earth Command. Entire species that were under Dominion control are declaring independence. The aliens' empire is starting to collapse. Dr. Sunja studied the reports from her laboratory on Earth. The Dominion's greatest strength was their reputation for invincibility. Now that's gone. Every species they've conquered is wondering if they can fight back too. But Admiral Tae-ho knew the most dangerous phase of the war was still ahead. Wounded animals are always the most dangerous, he told his staff. The Dominion will eventually gather their remaining forces for one massive assault. When they do, we need to be ready to meet them. The aliens' response came sooner than expected. Intelligence reports indicated that the Dominion was massing their most powerful ships around their capital world, preparing for a final confrontation with the human fleet. They're calling it the Great Cleansing, Wu Jin reported. Every ship they have left, every weapon they can deploy. They plan to destroy Earth and then hunt down every human in the galaxy. Captain Namgil received his orders directly from Admiral Tae-ho. Take the Black Fleet to Dominion Prime. End this war before they can launch their counterattack. The final battle would be fought in the aliens' home system, where they would have every possible advantage. Orbital defense platforms that had never been defeated. Weapons systems developed over millennia of conquest. The accumulated military might of the galaxy's largest empire, but they would be facing humanity's secret weapon, ships that could fight by rules the aliens didn't understand, commanded by warriors who refused to accept defeat. Captain Namgil looked at the star charts showing the route to Dominion Prime. It was the most heavily defended system in the galaxy, protected by weapons that could destroy planets and fleets that had conquered 1,000 worlds. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Course for Dominion Prime. Maximum stealth. It's time to finish what they started. The Black Fleet disappeared into hyperspace, carrying with them the hopes of every enslaved species in the galaxy. Behind them, The Dominion's scattered forces tried desperately to reach their home world in time to mount a defense. They wouldn't make it. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was closing in for the kill. Dominion Prime hung in space like a jewel of arrogance and cruelty. The capital world of the galaxy's most brutal empire was surrounded by defensive installations that had protected it for 10,000 years. Massive orbital platforms bristled, with weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. Energy shields powerful enough to stop planet-killing asteroids created shimmering barriers around the system's most vital installations. Supreme Overlord Zaltek stood in his command center deep, beneath the planet's surface, watching tactical displays that showed the approaching human fleet. His scaled face showed no emotion, but his yellow eyes burned with hatred. 5,000 ships, he said to his assembled commanders. Every vessel we could gather from across the Empire, weapons that can tear apart space itself, defenses that have never been breached. Today, we end the human threat forever. The Dominion's mightiest warriors filled the command center. Battle-hardened veterans who had conquered countless worlds and exterminated entire species. Each one was confident that no force in the galaxy could threaten their home world. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Namgil sat in the command chair of Shadow of Earth, studying sensor readings of the most heavily defended system he had ever seen. The orbital platforms alone mounted more firepower than most planetary defense forces. The assembled fleet represented the accumulated military might of a galactic empire. "Tactical analysis complete," reported his sensor officer. 5,000 enemy ships in layered defensive formations, 47 orbital weapons platforms, planetary shield generators that can deflect asteroid impacts. "Sir, this is going to be the toughest fight we've ever faced." Namgil nodded grimly. "Signal the fleet. Phase shift to maximum stealth. We're going in." Dr. Bin Wu, now serving aboard the Black Fleet's command ship, monitored the quantum systems that kept them invisible to enemy sensors. The technology was being pushed to its absolute limits, hiding 200 ships from the most advanced detection systems in the galaxy. "Stealth field holding steady," he reported. "But, sir, if we decloak in the middle of that defensive formation, we're going to take massive damage before we can strike back." "I know," Namgil replied. "That's why we're not going to fight fair. The Black Fleet moved through the outer system like phantoms, completely invisible to Dominion sensors. The alien defenders watched empty space, having no idea that death was approaching from all directions. Captain Subin's fighter squadrons prepared for the most dangerous mission in their careers. Her pilots would have to penetrate the orbital defense grid and strike at the control centers that coordinated the entire defensive network. "Remember," she told her squadron leaders, "the platforms can't hit what they can't see. Stay in phase shift until you're inside their hulls. Target the command centers first, then the power cores. We need to blind them before the main fleet. Attacks." Commander Inho checked the quantum torpedo loadout on his destroyer Iron Will. Each weapon was calibrated to penetrate the unique shield frequencies used by Dominion defense platforms. Dr. Mi Young's analysis of captured alien technology had revealed weaknesses that could be exploited. "Weapons ready," he reported to Namgil. "But, sir, those orbital platforms have enough firepower to crack planets. If they get a lock on us—" "They won't," Namgil said with quiet confidence, "because we're going to hit them faster and harder than they can possibly respond to." The attack began when Subin's fighters phased through the outer defense perimeter. Their small ships materialized inside the control centers of 3 major orbital platforms simultaneously, delivering antimatter charges that destroyed the station's command capabilities. Alarms screamed across the Dominion defensive network as 3 of their most powerful platforms went dark. But the defenders had no idea what had hit them. Their sensors showed no enemy ships, no incoming weapons, nothing that could explain the sudden attacks. "Report!" Zalthek roared from his command bunker. "Unknown contacts inside our defense perimeter," came the panicked response. "Platforms 7, 12, and 23 are not responding. Sir, we're under attack by invisible enemies." Before Zalthek could respond, the main assault began. 200 Black Fleet ships decloaked simultaneously around the Dominion forces, their quantum weapons already charged and targeting vital systems. The aliens found themselves surrounded by an enemy that had appeared from nowhere, positioned perfectly to strike at their weakest points. The quantum torpedoes fired first, each one existing in multiple dimensions as it passed through shields and armor to detonate inside enemy hulls. Dominion ships that had never been damaged in 10,000 years of conquest suddenly found themselves gutted by weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. Commander Inho's Iron Will led the attack on the Central Command Platform, a massive station that coordinated the entire defensive network. His quantum disruptors tore through the station's shields as if they were made of paper. "Direct hit on their primary command center," he reported, as explosions ripped through the alien station. "Their coordination network is down." Without central coordination, the Dominion defense platforms began firing wildly at targets they couldn't properly identify. Some alien gunners fired at their own ships by mistake. Others wasted ammunition shooting at empty space where their damaged sensors indicated enemy contacts. But the defenders weren't helpless. As the battle progressed, Dominion weapons found their targets through sheer volume of fire. The Black Fleet's quantum armor could deflect most attacks, but not everything. Captain Subin's fighter Tiger 7 took a direct hit from a platform's main gun as she attempted to deliver another antimatter charge. Her ship's phase generator failed, leaving her vulnerable to conventional weapons. "Tiger 7 is hit," she reported through gritted teeth as her fighter spun out of control. "Phase drive is down. I'm losing power to all systems." "Eject," Nam Gil ordered over the communication channel. "Negative," Subin replied. "I'm too close to the platform's reactor core. I can still complete the mission." Before anyone could stop her, Subin crashed her damaged fighter directly into the platform's central power core. The antimatter in her ship's damaged engines created a chain reaction that consumed the entire station in a ball of nuclear fire. Her sacrifice wasn't in vain. The destruction of the main power platform caused a cascade failure that knocked out half the remaining orbital defenses. But the cost was becoming clear. The Black Fleet was taking casualties for the first time. Commander Inho watched his tactical display as warning lights showed damage to ships throughout the fleet. "Sir, we're taking heavy losses. The quantum armor is failing under sustained fire from their reality-warping weapons." The Dominion had finally deployed their most advanced technology, weapons that could manipulate space-time itself to bypass any known defense. Energy beams that existed outside normal physics, missiles that could strike targets in the past, shields that reflected attacks back at their sources. Dr. Binwu worked frantically at his console, analyzing the alien weapons and searching for countermeasures. "I'm detecting harmonic frequencies in their space-time weapons," he reported. "If we can match the resonance pattern—" "Do it," Namgil ordered. Binwu's fingers flew across his controls, modifying the Black Fleet's quantum systems to operate on the same frequencies as the Dominion weapons. It was incredibly dangerous. One mistake could cause their own ships to tear themselves apart. But it worked. The modified quantum fields began interfering with the alien weapons, causing them to malfunction catastrophically. Space-time missiles exploded inside their own launch tubes. Reality-warping beam weapons turned on the ships that fired them. "It's working!" Bin Wu shouted over the sound of alarms. "Their advanced weapons are turning against them." The tide of battle shifted decisively in humanity's favor. With their most powerful weapons neutralized, the Dominion fleet found itself outmatched by Black Fleet technology that they still couldn't understand or counter. Captain Namgil opened a communication channel to every ship in the Dominion fleet. "This is Captain Namgil of the human fleet. You have seen what happens to those who threaten innocent worlds. Surrender now, and you will be treated with more mercy than you have ever shown your victims." The response was a massive coordinated attack from every remaining alien ship. The Dominion would fight to the death rather than accept defeat. "So be it," Namgil said quietly. "All ships engage at will. Show them what happens when bullies meet their match." The final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. Black Fleet ships phased through the enemy formation like deadly ghosts, their quantum weapons systematically destroying every Dominion vessel. The aliens' superior numbers meant nothing against an enemy that could appear anywhere and strike from impossible angles. When the last alien ship exploded in a ball of plasma, Dominion Prime's orbital defenses lay in ruins. 5,000 ships reduced to debris. 47 weapons platforms destroyed. The capital of the galaxy's most powerful empire defenseless for the first time in its history. Supreme Overlord Zalthek stared at his tactical displays in stunned disbelief. His entire fleet was gone. His orbital defenses were destroyed. The humans had achieved the impossible. They had broken the defenses of Dominion Prime. "Signal all remaining forces," he ordered his communications officer with Shaki. The ruins of Dominion Prime still smoldered when the debates began on Earth. Admiral Tejo sat in the Global Defense Council chamber, listening to arguments that would determine the future of the galaxy. The Black Fleet's victory had been total, but victory brought difficult choices. Admiral Ji Woo, recently promoted after her heroic evacuation efforts during the initial invasion, argued passionately for restraint. "We've broken their military power. Their empire is collapsing. We have a chance to build something better, something based on cooperation instead of conquest." Her words carried weight with many council members. Earth had always prided itself on being different from the aggressive species that tried to dominate others. The temptation to show mercy was strong, but Dr. Sunja had spent decades studying Dominion psychology and biology. Her xenobiological research painted a darker picture of their enemies. The Dominion species is fundamentally incapable of accepting peaceful coexistence, she said, displaying brain scans and behavioral analysis on the chamber's main screen. "Their neural structure is hardwired for dominance and submission. They will never see us as equals. To them, we are either masters to be obeyed or enemies to be destroyed." President Hae-jin looked exhausted as she reviewed the intelligence reports. "Dr. Sunja, are you saying they can never change? That peace is impossible?" "With the core Dominion species, yes. Their psychology makes them unable to accept any relationship that isn't based on power. They've spent 10,000 years conquering the galaxy because it's literally how their minds work." Admiral Tejo stood and activated a holographic display showing the current state of Dominion space. Red markers indicated scattered fleet remnants still loyal to the old empire. Yellow markers showed worlds in open rebellion. Green markers indicated systems that had declared independence. "The question isn't whether we should show mercy," he said grimly. "The question is whether we can afford to. Intelligence reports indicate that surviving Dominion commanders are already regrouping. They're pulling ships from the outer rim, awakening ancient weapons, preparing for a final assault on Earth." Captain Nam Gil appeared on the communications screen from the Bridge of Shadow of Earth, still in orbit around the conquered capital world. Behind him, the bridge crew worked at stations monitoring the collapse of the Galactic Empire. "Admiral, we're intercepting communications from Dominion survivors," he reported. "They're not discussing surrender or peace negotiations. They're planning revenge. Total extermination of humanity and every species that supported our rebellion." The debate grew heated as council members struggled with the moral implications of their choices. Some argued for establishing a protective zone around Earth and allowing the Dominion remnants to retreat to the outer galaxy. Others pushed for complete elimination of the alien leadership. Lieutenant Wu Jin, still maintaining his deep cover in alien communication networks, provided crucial intelligence that shifted the debate. His latest report revealed the Dominion's most closely guarded secret. "They have a doomsday weapon," he transmitted from his hidden position. "Something they call the Galaxy Cleaner. It's hidden in their original homeworld system, protected by defenses that make Dominion Prime look weak." Dr. Mi Young studied the technical data Wu Jin had managed to steal. Her face went pale as she processed the weapon's specifications. "This is beyond anything we've encountered," she told the assembled council. "The weapon can destroy entire star systems by causing their suns to go supernova. According to these plans, they intend to use it to sterilize every system that supported our rebellion." "How many systems are we talking about?" President Haye Jin asked. "Over 300, Mi Young replied. "Billions of sentient beings. Every species that declared independence from the Dominion. Every world that celebrated our victory. They plan to murder them all as punishment for defying the Empire." The moral calculation suddenly became much clearer. This wasn't about revenge or conquest. It was about preventing genocide on a galactic scale. Admiral Ji Woo's opposition to total war wavered as she processed the implications. "Can we stop this weapon without eliminating the Dominion leadership?" "Unlikely," Dr. Soonja replied. "Their psychology won't allow them to abandon the plan voluntarily. As long as any Dominion commanders survive, they'll keep trying to activate the Galaxy Cleaner." Admiral Tae Ho made the decision that would define humanity's role in galactic history. "We don't have a choice. The Black Fleet will proceed to the Dominion homeworld and eliminate both the weapon and anyone who might use it." But even as the military prepared for the final campaign, Dr. Mi Young proposed a different solution. "What if we could use the Black Fleet's technological superiority to enforce a new kind of galactic government? Not human dominance, but a system that prevents any species from threatening others?" The idea sparked intense discussion. Captain Namgil supported the concept, having seen firsthand the suffering caused by Dominion rule. "We could create a galactic defense force, multiple species working together to protect the innocent and stop aggressors." Dr. Bin Wu, working with captured Dominion technology, suggested practical implementation. "Our quantum communication systems could link every member world. Our phase shift technology could create rapid response fleets that could intervene anywhere in the galaxy." The plan that emerged was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. A new galactic order based on mutual defense rather than conquest. The Black Fleet would serve as the enforcement arm, powerful enough to stop any aggressor but committed to protecting rather than conquering. But first, they had to deal with the immediate threat. Intelligence reports confirmed that Supreme Overlord Zalthek had escaped the fall of Dominion Prime and was now at the ancient homeworld, preparing to activate the Galaxy Cleaner. The weapon's location was protected by automated defenses built by the Dominion's ancestors millions of years ago. The defenses are unlike anything we've encountered, Wu Jin reported. Weapons that manipulate fundamental forces, shields that exist outside normal space-time, robotic guardians that have never been defeated. Captain Namgil studied the tactical data from his command chair. The final battle would push human technology to its absolute limits. But there was no choice. The doomsday weapon had to be stopped. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Course for the ancient homeworld. Maximum stealth approach. This is our last chance to end the Dominion threat forever. As the Black Fleet prepared for departure, Admiral Teho addressed the crews via quantum communication. You're about to face the greatest challenge in human history. You're fighting not just for Earth, but for the freedom of every innocent species in the galaxy. The Dominion chose to threaten genocide rather than accept defeat. Show them what happens when evil meets its match. The final battle would determine whether the galaxy's future belonged to those who conquered or those who protected, whether might would make right, or whether justice could triumph over tyranny. Deep in space, the Dominion's ancient homeworld waited. Around it, defenses that had protected the cradle of galactic evil for millions of years prepared to face an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. The Black Fleet disappeared into hyperspace, carrying with them the hopes of countless enslaved species and the determination of humanity to create a better galaxy. Supreme Overlord Zalthek watched their approach on sensors that operated beyond normal physics. Soon he would have his revenge. The Galaxy Cleaner would burn away the human infestation and restore Dominion rule. He had no idea that he was about to face warriors who refused to let evil triumph, no matter the cost. The ancient homeworld of the Dominion hung in space like a monument to evil. The planet where galactic tyranny had been born was surrounded by defenses that predated most civilizations. Massive robotic guardians, each one the size of a moon, patrolled the system with weapons that could tear apart space itself. Supreme Overlord Zalthek stood in the control chamber of the Galaxy Cleaner, his scaled hands resting on controls that could destroy every star system that had defied Dominion rule. The weapon was a masterpiece of ancient technology, capable of triggering supernovas across hundreds of light years. Soon, he whispered to himself as he watched the approaching human fleet on his tactical displays. Soon the galaxy will remember why it fears the Dominion. Captain Namgil studied the defensive grid from the bridge of shadow of Earth. The ancient guardians were unlike anything the Black Fleet had faced. Their weapons operated on principles that seemed to ignore the laws of physics, and their shields existed partially outside normal space-time. These defenses have protected this system for millions of years, reported his sensor officer. Sir, I'm not sure our quantum weapons can penetrate their shielding. Then we'll have to find another way, Namgil replied. He opened a communication channel to Dr. Bin Wu, who was analyzing the ancient technology from his science station. Doctor, what are we looking at? Bin Wu's voice was filled with awe and fear. Captain, these guardians were built by the original Dominion species before they conquered the galaxy. The technology is so advanced it's almost like magic. But, sir, I think I found a weakness. Explain. The Guardians are powered by the same energy source as the Galaxy Cleaner. If we can overload their power grid, the feedback should disable. both the defenses and the doomsday weapon. It was a desperate plan. The Black Fleet would have to penetrate the Guardian network and strike at the central power core while under fire from weapons that could destroy planets. But it was their only chance to stop the galaxy cleaner before it could be activated. "All ships," Namgil transmitted to the fleet, "prepare for final assault. We're going in." The battle began as the Black Fleet decloaked at the edge of the system. The ancient Guardians immediately responded, their weapon systems coming online for the first time in centuries. Energy beams that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously lanced out at the human ships. Commander Inho's destroyer, Iron Will, was the first to test the aliens' defenses. His quantum torpedoes struck one of the massive Guardians, but the explosion seemed to have no effect on the robotic defender. "Our weapons aren't penetrating their shields," he reported. "Sir, these things are completely immune to conventional attacks." But the Black Fleet had faced impossible odds before. Captain Subin's replacement, Captain Min Ho, led his fighter squadrons in a desperate assault on the Guardian's sensor arrays. If they couldn't destroy the robots, maybe they could blind them. "Phoenix Squadron, target their detection systems," Min Ho ordered as his fighters phased through the Guardian's defensive fire. "If we can confuse their targeting, the main fleet can get through." The fighters delivered their antimatter charges with precision, but the ancient systems adapted quickly. The Guardians began firing in all directions, creating walls of energy that even phase-shifted ships couldn't penetrate. Dr. Binwu watched the battle unfold from his station, his mind racing to find a solution. Then he noticed something in the energy patterns of the Guardian weapons. "Captain, I think I understand how their technology works," he said excitedly. "They're drawing power from the quantum foam itself, the energy that exists in empty space. But that means their power grid is connected to the fabric of space-time. What does that mean for us?" Namgil asked, as his ship shook under fire from multiple Guardians. "If we can create a quantum resonance cascade, we might be able to overload their entire power network. But, sir, it would require one of our ships to get close enough to the central core to initialize the cascade." Namgil understood immediately. It was a suicide mission. Whichever ship got close enough to trigger the cascade would be destroyed in the resulting explosion. "I'll do it," he said quietly. "Sir, no," his communications officer protested. "Let me take a fighter. The fleet needs you." "The fleet needs this mission to succeed," Namgil replied. "Shadow of Earth has the most advanced quantum systems. We have the best chance of completing the cascade." As Namgil prepared his ship for the final run, Admiral Teho's voice came through the quantum communication link from Earth. "Captain, the entire galaxy is watching. Every freed world, every liberated species. They're all counting on you to end this threat forever." "Understood, Admiral. Tell them the Black Fleet doesn't leave jobs half-finished." Shadow of Earth accelerated toward the central power core, its quantum armor absorbing massive amounts of enemy fire. The ancient Guardians concentrated their attacks on the approaching ship, recognizing the threat it represented. On the planet below, Supreme Overlord Zalthek watched in growing panic as the human ship penetrated deeper into his defenses. "Activate the Galaxy Cleaner!" he roared at his technicians. "Fire it now!" "Sir, the weapon needs 17 more minutes to reach full charge," came the terrified reply. "We don't have 17 minutes." Namgil's ship was taking catastrophic damage as it approached the core. Hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. Quantum systems overloaded and exploded. But the Shadow of Earth pressed on, driven by the determination of its crew. "Quantum cascade ready," Dr. Binwu reported from his damaged console. "Sir, once I initialize it, we'll have maybe 30 seconds before the explosion reaches us." "Do it," Namgil ordered. The cascade began as exotic particles flooded into the ancient power grid. The quantum foam itself began to destabilize, creating a chain reaction that spread through the Guardian network at light speed. One by one, the massive robotic defenders shut down as their power systems overloaded. On the planet below, the Galaxy Cleaner's weapon systems went dark as the cascade reached the Doomsday device. "It's working!" Binwu shouted. "The cascade is spreading through their entire network." But the explosion was spreading too. Shadow of Earth was caught in the quantum shockwave as space-time itself convulsed around the dying power core. "Captain," his helmsman called out, "we're not going to make it clear." Namgil looked around his bridge at the crew who had followed him through the greatest war in galactic history. "It's been an honor serving with all of you. Tell Earth that we finished the job." The quantum explosion consumed Shadow of Earth just as the ship's emergency pods ejected. Namgil and his crew were saved by the same Black Fleet comrades they had led into battle so many times. When the cascade finally ended, the ancient homeworld's defenses lay in ruins. The Galaxy Cleaner was a twisted wreck, its power core destroyed and its threat eliminated forever. Supreme Overlord Zalthek was found dead in his control chamber, killed by the feedback from his own weapon. The war was over. In the months that followed, the galaxy slowly transformed. Admiral Tejo, now promoted to Fleet Admiral of the Galactic Defense Force, oversaw the dismantling of Dominion war machines and the liberation of enslaved worlds. Captain Namgil, recovered from his injuries, became the first human ambassador to the newly formed Galactic Council. The Black Fleet's reputation for protecting the innocent made him the perfect choice to represent humanity's commitment to justice over conquest. Dr. Mi Young established the Institute for Galactic Technology, carefully sharing selected human innovations with former Dominion subjects while maintaining Earth's technological edge. The quantum communication networks that had coordinated the Black Fleet now linked hundreds of worlds in peaceful cooperation. President Haye Jin signed the Galactic Cooperation Accords with representatives of 47 species, creating an alliance based on mutual defense rather than conquest. The new government's charter was simple: protect those who cannot protect themselves and stop those who would oppress the innocent. But peace required constant vigilance. Captain Min Ho, now commanding the Black Fleet's Reconnaissance Division, monitored the galaxy's outer rim for new threats. The ships that had once brought terror to the Dominion now served as guardians of the new order. Lieutenant Wu Jin, his cover finally blown after the Dominion's collapse, returned to Earth as a hero. His intelligence work had been crucial to humanity's victory, and he now headed the new Galactic Intelligence Service that monitored threats across known space. The transformation wasn't without challenges. Some former Dominion species struggled to adapt to freedom after millennia of oppression. Others had been so deeply conditioned by authoritarian rule that they couldn't function in a cooperative society. Dr. Sunja worked with rehabilitation teams across the galaxy, helping former slave species rediscover their cultural identities. Her xenobiological expertise proved invaluable in understanding how different species could work together peacefully. "Freedom is harder than slavery for some," she explained to Admiral Jiwoo during one of their regular briefings. The Dominion deliberately destroyed independent thinking in the species they conquered. We're having to teach entire civilizations how to make their own decisions again. Admiral Jiwoo nodded as she reviewed reports from the Outer Rim territories. At least they're willing to learn. The alternative would have been much worse. The Black Fleet's role